Hello and welcome to the Cats Whiskers TV podcast. My name is Jono Bullard. No YouTube show this week, unfortunately, because of the split of games with the weekend games and the Hamburg game on Tuesday. We're actually going to do this week as a podcast because it's slightly easier for all of us to do it. But don't worry, we're not stopping the show at all. The YouTube show will be back again next week. So today is Sunday the 21st of September, and last night Panthers took on the Sheffield Steelers in the first of what will be 10 clashes this season at least. It was a Challenge Cup game. Panthers, of course, winning 2-1. Myself, Paul Balm and Aaron Lord were in the Bunkers Hill Inn right after the game. So we gave our opinions on the game itself and also got a few fan opinions as well. So here's what we had to say. We're in the Bunkers Hill Inn after a 2-1 victory for the Nottingham Panthers against the Sheffield Steelers in the Challenge Cup. I'm with Paul Balm.
Hello. Drinking.
And Aaron Lord.
Hello.
So guys, probably not the most comfortable of victories that we've ever had, but I think Steelers in discipline cost them very much, and a very battling performance from the Nottingham Panthers.
Not the most comfortable, no, but by the same token, I don't think I was never really worried about losing it. It was like the game against Cardiff. We gave them a couple of chances. They took one of them. They didn't take the other. Beyond that, it was. I don't think they brought that much to the table.
Aaron, were you surprised that with 7 minutes to go in the game, Sheffield started taking a raft of penalties when they're looking to get back into the game, and it cost them in the end?
No, I'm not surprised, to be honest, because I think what for me, we're further into the season than other teams because of our CHL commitments. That's what involvement. That's what I was going to say. So for me, a third period is a big period in any elite league hockey game because tiredness kicks in and even mentally it's kind of taxing on the players in that third period because you put so much into the first two periods, and I think that's where our previous games comes into kind of fruition because we're not as tired as the other opposition, we're not as mentally tired, and I think that is especially tonight, and I was kind of surprised at that because for me they just lost their way, and they started doing stupid things, not competing and then getting a penalty, but actually taking stupid penalties. So for me, that's a big thing in the fact that we've played in the CHL, and I think that going forward, a third period will be quite big for us.
But I think as well that especially in the third period, the game started opening up more, and it was that was part of what they were struggling with us, and it is down to the fitness, the practice we've got. I've got a Benedict's goal. While the actual goal itself was a fairly routine tap-in, some of the passing, the interplay in the sort of the minute before that, it was like watching a power play, but it was 5-on-5. If the Panthers are watching, when they're doing the highlights, one of a flashing sign across the bottom going, "This is not a power play," because that's what it was like. That's what it looked like. I think that the indiscipline came from the fact that as the game opened up towards the end, they couldn't deal with it.
Can I just say something very quickly on what Paul was saying there about the fact that at times it looked like we were on a power play, but it was actually 5-on-5. For me, even now, and we've not seen every team in the Elite League play down here and play against us, I think if we play to the potential that we can with the speed that we can play at and the quick transition that we have within the team, I honestly don't think there will be a team in this league that will be able to cope with us at that point.
I think the key is getting Clark and Higgins back because we've got the speed, we've got the passing, we can move it really well, but there's a lot of very fancy play at times, but there's no end product a lot of the time at the moment. I mean, fair play to Frankie Doyle. He played, he wasn't like a Scottish comedian tonight. And
to be fair, I mean, he faced 51 shots, and I think he saved them from a caning tonight.
Yeah, he did. But we've got a real natural finisher like Clark in the team. He could, and all the things we were doing that weren't quite coming off, just sort of inches away. We get those going, and it could be very interesting indeed.
Well, on that as well, everybody's quick to say, well, an import is missing, Higgins is missing, Lee's missing. You actually forget how important Clark is to our roster. You're talking just general, he's been known as like a sharpshooter. He provides goals every season, but it's also another power play, and you could say at times tonight the power play weren't clicking and stuff like that. But that point is all about, we're very quick to say an import is missing, but we're actually missing one of the top end Brits.
I mean, it's what always makes me laugh, the way you get Belfast fans saying, "Oh, we've got Murphy. That means we've eventually got an extra import." We've got Clark. Doesn't that do the same thing?
Well, the thing is, if you look at us as well, we've got Lakovic, we've got Farmer, we've got Steve Lee in defence.
Yeah.
I think on depth of Brits, it's something that we certainly excel in.
Does Jason Hewitt mean they've essentially got an extra? No, it doesn't, does it? No. They've just got a big bearded yapping poodle. Moan. That's why he got that extra. He got there were 2 assists on Steelers' goals. Dean Smith thought, it's easy just to give it than just listen to Hewitt.
But I mean, what while we're on Brits, we might as well talk about it in the sense of, Sheffield. We've talked about in previous. We talked about it in the season opener about, their first line is obviously their top line is a very good line. But at the end of the day, the combination that scored their goal tonight were 3 Brits. Yeah. Hill, Hewitt, Phillips. Yeah. From a Sheffield point of view, that's got to be quite disappointing.
Well, I must admit, I was expecting an awful lot more from Sheffield after hearing the reports that came out of our Sheffield last Sunday when they beat 8-1, and this apparent wonder line that was going to score hundreds of points for them and that was going to be fair around the league. I saw absolutely nothing from Morency.
Morency wasn't playing.
Sorry, not Morency.
Was it
Forney, what is it, Cullen Eddie or Eddie Cullen? May as well been Eddie Cochran out there.
For me, I thought Eddie was all right. Actually, I actually thought he was all right. I thought he tried. For me, Eddie tried to put a bit of. He tried to do quick transition. He tried to get into our defensive zone. So from that, I thought he didn't do too bad. But for me, honestly, and I know that's the first time that we've seen him, and you can beat Fife or whoever it was at 8-1 or in your own home barn. That's fine. But if you seriously want to challenge for trophies this season, you're going to have to come to places like the NIC and compete, for me, a hell of a lot better than what you did there. Because I agree with Paul what he said earlier on. They had 2 chances. They scored from one. The second one, I think you have to give full credit to the Panthers players there. Boxall, first of all, for diving in there and putting his body on the line, because if not, Dowd would have scored. And then secondly, just a whole scramble in the net, with K-Wall and the other defensemen, and even that was, for me, that was a sign again of what our team will be like this season. They're willing to put their body on the line and they're willing to compete for everybody else in that team, and that's a positive sign for me.
I think the thing that impressed me most about Panthers was the grittiness, the willing to battle, the willing to try and win the puck, stop it going out of the zone. And I thought defensively we were absolutely outstanding tonight. Defensively, just brilliant. And the thing is, we was causing the Steelers to give a lot of turnovers in their own zone and also in the neutral zone. And I think if you looked at the possession over the 60 minutes, minutes, it would have been quite heavily in the Panthers' favour.
And again, it's like going back to the Cardiff game. It was similar in that we were pressing all the time. We've got the speed. We can, but we've got the speed and we've got the energy. I think we were talking last week about the way they're using Box Hill for like that very short period at the start and the end of the penalty kills, just to go on, just to give that energy. But I mean, we're not taking it. That Sheffield side's a decent side, and we're talking about the middle of September here, so there's a lot of hockey ahead. Yeah, but we'd got their measure tonight, I think. And it might have been a 2-1 game, but it wasn't a 2-1 game.
No, and that's, I think, something that Paul said earlier. I might be wrong, but for me, he said that it was, and I think even, to be honest, Jono, you said that it was tight-knit or close. The scoreline might have been close and tight-knit, but for me the performance wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah. If it wasn't for Frank Doyle, I mean, you do not face 51 shots and only letting 2 without getting man of the match. And to me, I said to the people around me, I said, I will gladly applaud Frank Doyle off that ice, because he's had an absolute. Let's put it on.
Ignore you when you talk to him.
Yeah, to be honest, nobody kind of paid attention. But if it was on our foot and K Waller had faced 51 shots and only letting 2, everybody would be lauding that performance from K-Wall. So in that sense, I'm happy to say Doyle for me had, again for me, within the first 5-7 minutes you could tell Doyle was going to have a good game. So it was 2-1 and it was tight on the scoreline, but performance wise I actually do think we outperformed Steelers by not massively, but very positively, because as Paul says, it's only mid-September.
One of the things that did slightly concern me was that we had several power play chances, didn't score on any of them. Now, I think that is more the fact that we've got Chris Higgins and David Clark injured, who will be very, very big components on the power play.
You're talking about the missing, because apparently the fact that we had so many power plays was because Dean Smith was rubbish.
No. I mean, the reason we had so many power plays is because Steelers were utterly indisciplined, and in fact reminded me of Cardiff teams under Gerard Adams when they were losing. Very, very similar.
Didn't charge the keeper. That's always a Gerard Adams. What's the fella's name?
Gerard Adams.
That's the fella. Yeah, his trick. Yeah.
But I think we had 10, 11 power play chances, didn't score from any of them. Is that a concern, or is it just early season jitters?
Bit of both.
I would say, it's got to be a concern. It doesn't. I mean, for me, it doesn't really matter whether you're early season or what. 10 power plays is a lot of power plays, and to not even get one. And again, I think Paul said it earlier on. There was a lot of fantasy play, but the end product wasn't there. And I do think Higgins is going to be involved in that power play. You would think Clark is especially going to be in that power play, but for me, there was just a few times where we just took too long. We took too many touches on the puck, and you could even go back to the fact of 2 years ago. Linger put the puck to Bruce, and Bruce just put it away first time.
But was he doing that this time? September 2 years ago? No.
And that is a very good point.
You've got to take from it that these things will come.
Yeah, and again, we are mid-September. And I think that's another thing with the CHL. We actually think we're further along the line than what we actually are in our league campaign. Because let's be honest, in a couple of weeks we're not going to have the CHL. We are actually just going to be Elite League Challenge Cup and aiming for the playoffs at the end of the season. But I think we kind of, we've seen a bit more hockey than what everybody else has. So we are expecting these things to click and to actually, within those 10 power plays, well, at least to have a couple of goals. When realistically, probably in the last couple of seasons, it's been exactly the same stats. So, that's something that we have to take into consideration as fans.
Okay. So, final words on tonight's performance. Paul, satisfying victory?
We beat Sheffield, of course it's a satisfying victory. Here's a question, here's a conundrum for you. Are we missing Mark Lee?
How would we know? That's because we've not seen him yet. But Aaron,
is that answering the Mark Lee question or the?
No. Satisfying performance.
Satisfying performance. Disappointing entrance video.
Yeah, no, I think for me.
You're not keen, are you?
On what?
The entrance video.
Look, I believe you talked about it last week.
Oh yes.
For me, it's highly embarrassing.
And given your field of work,
Look. You know, you can take you can take my field of work out of it. For me, I turn up on a Saturday night as a fan. Yeah, I don't turn up to look at how things are produced or whatever, because you know it's a Saturday night. I work Monday to Friday. For me, you know, this is Sheffield. This is our first game against our arch rivals. Apparently, you know, the biggest rivalry in Europe. That, for me, did not get me excited about the game. It actually made me feel quite dull and disappointed within the game. Looking for it, you know, because for me, doesn't bring anything to the table. You know, and it might be controversial and people will disagree, and that's fair enough. It's all about opinions. But what I want to see is passion. I want to see something that's going to get the hairs on the back of my neck going, get me pumped up for the game. That to me is not good enough.
And that's not good enough. When you asked the question on Twitter last week, that was pretty much the answer we got.
Yeah, and I did
universally.
I did, and look, you know, some people. I'm gonna, and this is my own personal view. You know, and if anybody's got an issue with it, I'm all for conversation and opinions. You know, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying I'm wrong. You know, so if you want to get in touch, by all means, and I'm happy to talk to anybody. But for me, there's no excuse. We've played CHL games. You know, last season we had a video that involved the team of this season, so you had a connection with that team. Obviously, I get the whole history of Panthers, and you know, you should always live on that history. But for me, it's all about the people that you're cheering on this season. So we've played games in the CHL where you could have recorded footage. And you know, it doesn't get people excited. And surely that's the whole point of an entrance video. You know, you could even hear the Steelers fans chanting Steelers over our entrance video. And isn't that disappointing? Isn't that not meant to happen? Isn't this meant to be our barn? Aren't we meant to make this intimidating? Aren't we meant to make it the place that you as an away fan, we welcome your support or whatever to the arena, but at the end of the day, this is our barn, and you shouldn't be made comfortable in this barn. And if you are chanting your team's name over our entrance video, isn't that a bit wrong?
I mean, to play devil's advocate for a second, is it up to, for me, it's probably up to the team to get the crowd lifted into the seats by the way they play, and I think
they haven't played though. They haven't come out. How can the team get you enticed in the game when they haven't even entered the building?
And I mean, I'm talking about when they are on the ice, and I think
you're both right.
No,
you're both right. I mean, I think Nottingham's synonymous for being quiet until the crowd and until the team do something. But shouldn't the management look at that and think, right, what can we do to create the atmosphere before something happens? And that doesn't do it.
No, I mean, I've got to go. I think that, and I said it last week, that the music doesn't work with the video.
I think the video works.
It's not even the music. It's a whole package. It's a whole package for me. But you can, like, what you say is a fair point in the fact of it's a team that gets the crowd into it. But if turn it on the other foot, in the sense of you are a player coming out onto that ice, and so you come out to a crowd that's not up for it because of the video. Then how can you expect that player to be up for it? This is, you've got to, a player comes out to the crowd that in Notts, which is probably bigger than some of the crowds that they played in. Take Evan Mosley, for example, biggest crowd he's played in tonight. Then probably, he did an interview with, Gary Moran in the week saying that he's looking forward to it. For me, that video doesn't get you enticed to welcome that team out onto the ice, to give them the motivation or the pumpness to then go and perform. Well, not perform, but to be adrenaline pumping and hairs on the back of your neck and stuff.
That step up. I mean, it's easy to get wound up for games like tonight, or it should be. But by the same token, you've got to get wound up for Edinburgh midweek. Nothing against Edinburgh, but crowd's half empty. You've still got to get them up.
Because at the end of the day, 2 league points against Sheffield is exactly the same as 2 league points against Edinburgh. It's all right billing games up and stuff like that, but you've still.
That's a really good point.
The crowd is still there. The crowd, we're still going to be there against Edinburgh, and there'll be less crowd because that's just a fact. So surely everything needs to be done to make sure that crowd is pumped, so it then transfers to the players as they enter the arena. But then I agree, the players have got to give you something to get you enticed in the game, but surely it's our job at the start, before they've even dropped the puck, to get that enticement, that adrenaline pumping.
Well, thanks for the moment, guys. But here is some of the opinions of the fans on tonight's game against Sheffield.
I think it was a pretty equal game in some ways. I was a little bit disappointed from Panthers' perspective that I thought they'd be more creative, a little bit more direct. Certainly I was a little bit disappointed with some of the scoring opportunities where we didn't deliver. I think from a Steelers perspective that they were a little bit more dirty is a kind of word, but in some ways for me Panthers deserve to win that game ultimately.
Good game from the Panthers, closer than I thought the balance of play deserved. I think if we'd had a genuine sniper out there on the ice, we'd probably have won by 3 or 4 more goals. But again, I think like against Cardiff, we didn't really give up a lot of clear-cut chances going the other way. A few scrambles, but pretty solid performance. And hopefully every time we play Sheffield it'll be like that, but with a few more goals.
I thought Evan Mosley played fantastically well tonight. I was also particularly impressed with both goaltenders. I thought Doyle did a fantastic job in goal for the Steelers. K-Wall was as stellar as ever. Particularly was it in the second period, there was a fantastic save he made he was originally behind the net and dove in front somehow and made a fantastic save, I think glove hand. Overall I think the power play could have been better. We had a lot of good chances on the power play. We couldn't quite convert, but that may have been because of how solid the Steelers seemed to be in defence. But yeah, I think we deserved the win. It could have been 4 or 5-1 to be honest, I think overall, but then again I suppose the Steelers could have scored more than they did, but our defence was holding up pretty damn well. But overall, it looks promising for the rest of the season. It's quite good to get an early win against the Steelers, because they're a team that we're looking to be contending with for the league title.
Many thanks as always to both Paul and Aaron, and also many thanks to the fans who joined us for their opinions after the game. If you would like to get in touch with the show, you can do so via Twitter. It is at CatsWhiskersTV. And if you would like to ask us a question on anything to do with hockey that you would like us to discuss, please use the hashtag AskCWTV. So that's it for this special podcast. We'll be doing another one on Tuesday after the Hamburg game. We'll be also looking back at Panthers against Coventry, which takes place tonight as I'm recording this, and we'll also look ahead to Panthers games against Hull and Cardiff next weekend. Many thanks for joining us. As I said, the YouTube show will be back next week, but until then, thanks once again and goodbye.